All right, good morning and welcome once again to your program. This is channel 196 on Star Times. This is Cool TV. My name is Dapo Banjo. Welcome to Crossfire. This morning, I'm privileged to have I will call them reverend gentlemen because they are respected in all their field of endeavors. These are guys that are politically detailed, and when it comes to analysis, believe you me, you just don't want to doubt whatever they say. I see them as veteran, and when it comes to Nigerian politics, they just throw light and just dissect issues and give very opinionated, analysis to whatever issue you're bringing their way. I have with me, running the show this morning. We'll be doing it together. This is our show. This is their show. It's a Thursday morning, and believe you me, we just want to do this so that Nigerians can actually, benefit from all that we'll be discussing today. And I know as you watch us and you listen to us, you just want to be a part of it too. So get ready to make your own contribution and throw in your thoughts on some of the things that we'll be discussing in the studio this morning. On my immediate right, I have this gentleman. I mean, I'm very sure by the time you see him, you don't have a problem, listening to him. Help me and welcome to the show, Barrister Libora Sushoma.
Thank you very much, Dapo. My pleasure is.
All right. I mean, simple introduction like that. And then when we go into the business of the day, you get to really meet them as we, tackle issues on the show. And then on my left, running the show with me this morning again is Mr. Bola Oba.
Thank you very much for the opportunity once again. It's always good to be with you.
I mean, they've been a very good friend of the family. Every time that we just reach out to them, I mean, they're always willing to just help come around and do justice to, the goings on in the society. And so we'll be looking at a couple of issues. Some of them are making headlines. Some of them are just issues that you and I need to really know the truth about. And so we'll be looking at it, elections 2015, as we decide. I know that you want to make informed decisions. I want to make informed decisions. All Nigerians are just willing to ensure that as they decide come March the 28th, the presidential elections, and then again the gubernatorial election and the National House of Assembly elections come April the 11th. So we'll be looking at all issues as it borders around elections and voting proper. It's just barely one day to the presidential elections. And on Saturday morning, believe you me, everybody is going out en masse, if there are no apathy, to just go and perform their civic responsibility. Now, let's quickly look at it. And I'm just going to take this one, from Liberals. Let's just look at, the last few hours to the elections. I mean, what can you sense about, about the electorate? What can you say? Do you think people are actually going en masse to vote, or we have a lot of? What's your thought?
Basically, typical of Nigerians. When I saw photographs of those traveling out of the country and those relocating to their villages and all what's not, I just told myself, these are people. These are some of the persons I have spoken with, and then who had be clamoring for a change. And now that the opportunity is here for them to actually, actualize their hopes, their dreams and aspirations, a lot of them are jetting out of the country. And that's why people will say, Nigerian elite, we do the talk and not walk the talk. And so you now begin to, why the politicians are, moving around trying to put finishing touches to all their campaigns and but fortunately, a lot of Nigerians, as the day draw closer, why some are agitated, that look, let's just be done with this process. Some others are just, now beginning to say, you know what, really, all of these campaigns, they're asking themselves, what have I really gained from this? And so a lot of people are beginning to have this apathy also. And basically, it's a Nigerian thing. And how we are able to capture this process and how credible the process is might change some other persons, these people's mind, come future elections.
Oh, I see. What do you think, Mr. Golava, could be responsible for some of the things that Barrister Libo was just talking
My
about. Why would people want to go out?
No, I don't want you to be very presumptuous.
Oh, okay.
My position is to be slightly different from the process.
Okay.
And the reason why my position is slightly different from the process is because if you see those who leave Lagos for their hometowns, there are those who essentially believe that there are so many residents of Lagos who believe that they would rather like to vote in their home
Villages
states,
and
in their
towns
states, yeah. So some will be going to their various states of origin for that purpose. For those leaving the country, to be honest with you, if you really look at the percentage of those who leave the country relative to the population, it's going to be very infinitesimal. If you pack 10 times the departure of Murtala Muhammad, and if you relate it to the population of Nigeria,
It's totally insignificant.
it's totally insignificant. And let's be very honest with ourselves. Middle class people generally don't vote. People who vote are women in the traders, market women, artisans, mainly lower class people. Those are mainly those who vote. Because of the peculiar nature of this election, I expect some middle class people to also come out. But to be honest with you, relative to the apathetic disposition they used to display in the past, this may be somewhat positively different. But saying that too, I don't think it's going to be called on the votes of the middle class.
All right, so you believe majority of Nigerians, at least, especially people who are not running away, will go out to vote? As many people who are eligible to vote.
I want to believe that the unprecedented fervor we are seeing in the political terrain will galvanize a lot of people to go out and vote. This may be one of the very few elections in this dispensation that we will get a relatively more pronounced distance beyond the 50% that voted in Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan in 2011. Because we barely had, but just a little bit above 50% that voted in Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. I'm looking at getting anything from 65 and above in this. It may not be up to 80, but I'm looking at getting something in the neighborhood of 65 and above.
All right.
Which is very good in a liberal democracy.
I mean, for me, I think that's the number. If it's anything to go by, I think it's quite impressive. If we have 65% of eligible voters going out,
More so if you just oppose that with the fact that in the last midterms election in the U.S., wherein the configuration of the two chambers of the American Congress was changed, less than 37% of American voters turned out for the vote.
I mean, that's impressive. Hopefully, we possibly will be seeing what is a similitude to the description that you have about 65%, going out there. Now, you see, this question has been in my mind, and I've been looking for, people as detailed as you guys to just help Nigerians put, some perspective, to this. My concern is this. 2015 elections seems to be, like an election like never before. Compared to 1999, 2003, 2007, 2011, I mean, what is peculiar about the 2015 election? Sincerely, the tension, considering, the trappings that we have, the tension it has, it has generated, the agitation, in people, combined, with violence that has characterized rallies and campaigns. What exactly are the peculiarities, of the 2015 election? In your own view.
Basically, since 1999, the closest we had to a major opposition was the 1999 election. Then you had three major political parties. The PDP,
and that was just, that was just the advent of democracy,
yes, the PDP, the AD, and the APP. That was the closest you had. The 2003 election, it was almost a one-party affair. and then 2007, the opposition were further polarized. And so the 2011, also gradually, I think following in the line of Alhaji Balarabe Musa's interview, to the effect that, look, yes, the opposition needs to, PDP are boasting that they will rule this country for the next 60 years. The opposition needs to appreciate the fact that for you to be able to wrestle power from the PDP, you need to put your ass together. You need to come together. This is a situation of where you think you can do it all alone, or if I stand in this region. And then also for the first time, it dawned on the political class that just one region can no longer produce the president of the country. And so immediately after the 2011 election, we saw opposition, even they attempted, but it was too close to the election, and so it didn't work. And so immediately after the election, we saw the opposition, trying to come together. And then coupled with the fact that right from 1999, the PDP had been its own enemy because it's a marriage of strange bedfellows. What, actually binds them together was not, we all know, it's not the ideology that they all believe in, one ideology that they profess to believe in, but the fact that, look, this is a government in power, they hold the yam and the knife, and also they have the power to distribute. Coupled with the kind of powers and enormous power that the government at the center weighed as prescribed in our laws. And so there came crisis, a major crisis in the PDP. And at that time, you already had an opposition party that was, trying to find its footing after the merger. And so all of this helped in, creating a situation, a scenario that you have today, where you have, for the first time since 1999, a dominant opposition party that could look the party in power eyeball to eyeball and say, look, we're with you, we know what you are capable of doing, we can give you a run for your money, blow for blow, don't necessarily not finance for finance, but propaganda for propaganda and campaigns for campaigns.
Violence for violence.
Violence for violence, if possible. And so, with all of that, you now saw what you've never seen before. And then, coupled with, you must give it to the electoral umpire. In 2011, you had a departure from the 2007 election. That the 2007 election were so flawed that even the president, the beneficiary of the election, agreed, on the day of swearing in, agreed that the election that drove him to that office were largely flawed. And so in 2011, a new man came on board and said, look, the electoral register, I cannot even clean. I need to start afresh. And so he started afresh. That gave a ray of hope to the people that, yes, our votes can truly count. And it was the most dramatic election. Exactly. And so with that, the political class now are beginning to see. It was a politics of emotion. We were all carried away by the I have no shoe thing. We had always been carried away with emotions. We had always been carried away by emotions. Like seriously, I thought 2011 elections, is predominantly the most emotional, kind of election that Nigerians are taking. That's why it is very easy. What's the emotion in 1999? In 1999, remember after the June 12 crisis, the fact that the alleged winner of that election, the June 12 election, was from the western part of the country, and the election results were now annulled, and he was not allowed to rule. And so it was typical for the military then to say, look, let us bring somebody from that region. And so a lot of people were swayed, okay, you need to compensate these people. And so even though the candidate at that time, even his kinsmen did not believe, did not have that hope that this man will be able to unite us. Okay, just but then I'm talking about quickly. Ceasefire on your analysis. The next emotion. Okay. In 2003, even people that did not believe in Obasanjo then decided that we have played opposition party for too long, politics for too long. Mainstream. Let us, go to the mainstream politics now. All right, that's fine. We'll go on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll be taking you through more questions and analysis and probably debates, as we go on the show. And I promise you, this is something you don't want to miss. We'll be right back.
Hello Nigerians, election 2015 is here. To cast your vote on election day, you will be required to go through 2 stages. Stage 1, accreditation process. Take your PVC to the venue you registered and join the queue. The electoral officer will match the picture on your PVC to that in the register. Read the PVC with the card reader and then take your fingerprint for verification. An accreditation tag will then be given to the voter to complete the accreditation process. Stage 2, voting process. The electoral officer confirms the voter's PVC and accreditation tag by taking the voter's name in the register. The voter will then be issued a ballot paper. The voter will go into the voting booth to cast his vote and then slip the ballot paper into the ballot box to complete the vote.
All right, you're welcome back. This is Crossfire, and I have this gentleman with me in the studio. I have Barrister Liberos Shoma, and I have Mr. Golaoba, and we'll be looking at the state, of the nation. We've been considering a lot of information that are available, for the electorate to take an informed decision. And you were trying to explain something before we went on the break about, the politics of emotions that has characterized our, the republics that we
like
have.
I said, in 2003, even the people that rejected the then President Obasanjo decided, oh, it's our turn, power shifts, we must, play mainstream politics now. And that word, mainstream, was introduced into our electoral lexicon. Mainstream, it was so emotional, everybody mainstream, that even, remember what happened, apart from Lagos was the only state standing, left for the opposition. All other states swam with PDP. 2007, after the West had their turn, now it was the turn of the North. And you remember all those that queued up in that same period. At this time, a lot of people had decamped into this mainstream PDP. So those that queued up to govern, at the end of the day, the ticket was once again given to the North. Everybody, people were agitated, and some people were of the opinion that, look, this man, is fragile. But because he was from the North, and the North, have, since the advent of this democracy, had not had a shot at the presidency, and now, for the first time...
Not because he was from the North, because the incumbent president and the kingmaker in PDP forced him on the party. And you could barely say no to Obasanjo.
Why was that done? Why was that done? What led to his selection? Really? What led to his selection?
No, the North
wanted a candidate of consensus, a consensus candidate.
The incumbent then was serving a second term.
And he wanted a third term.
And he wanted a third term. That's another story anyway. Another very inglorious story. He wanted a third term. That could
he
not
said he didn't want it.
My brother.
He said
that. Make we not speak too much grammar.
Okay.
Make we they go. Now, that didn't work out. Then the natural bounce of the presidential ball should go to the North, and because he still wanted to be in power surreptitiously by his very nature, very egotistic, selfish, and very manipulative, he looked for somebody in the North that he felt he could control because of his connection with that person's family, and because of the very vulnerable condition of that person's health. So he anointed that person and also took the pain.
Are you very sure he was aware of his state of health?
My brother, I sat in front of Umaru Yar'Adua when he was campaigning for presidency, courtesy of the incumbent president. I was actually invited by Dr. Gulugobele Jonathan, and I sat in front of Umaru Yar'Adua one-on-one, Bauchi State Government House, in Bauchi, whilst he was there. It was obvious to anybody. You needed to just see the man. You needed to see the man that he was not going to, to last 4 years.
And let me quickly add also to what Bola said in addressing your question. There were rumors that the man, during campaign, the course of campaign, was, rushed to a Germany hospital, in Germany.
Umaru.
And then that the man was dead. And to prove to the entire Nigerians that, look,
he wasn't dead.
He
made a call.
He made that famous call in Abeokuta.
That infamous call. Please,
in Abeokuta.
I thought that call was famous. I believe it was famous.
No.
I mean, because it was a call.
My brother, when we finish this program, go and look at the dictionary. You know the difference between famous and
I have an idea what.
It was an infamous call.
Oh, okay. You were trying to let us know it was infamous.
And so, if all things being equal, all things can never be equal. Exactly. And so, if things were okay, there was no need for Obasanjo to have made that call.
Honestly.
Even when people were saying, look, this man, it's fragile, he's fragile. He insisted, like Bola has said, like we all know, because of his manipulative tendency.
But it was not God. There was no way he would have known that he's not going to make it or something.
Let me
listen to him and I will had
know the demand of your office.
Yes.
If there are sometimes you call in sick because of the demand of the office, you know that your frame cannot carry that demand. Not to talk of the enormity of the powers of the president and the demands of that office. You will need somebody who is of sound mind, who is fit and proper. And so, when people, the entire country cannot be wrong, and then because you feel, okay, this man, I know he will, because even as a governor in Katsina, there was a time he was outside this country for 6 months. And then also, if you remember, at that time when he came back, his deputy was impeached because there were rumors that the deputy was manipulating, wanting to take over because the governor was not there around.